A couple of videos ago, without wanting to sound like some prepper, we were talking about EDC, like everyday carry tools. Tools you might carry on you or tools you might carry routinely in a bag to take in the field to repair this and that. Who knows what can go wrong in the field, right? And also in the boot of your car, like roadside repair stuff. And there's a lot of constraints with tools of that nature because I don't know about you, but I don't want to leave the most expensive tools I own in the boot of a car where they can be stolen, for example, or where you might just lose them at the roadside in the middle of the night after fixing this and that, because that would get depressing. And also, you can't carry everything. Like, where would you put it? So everything has to earn its place. If you're going to carry it in your pocket, it needs to have the maximum operational envelope and the minimum footprint. So these are like competing objectives. It's a super constrained environment. And I've just found one of the perfect tools for everyday carry. This thing is the best everyday carry screwdriver I have ever seen, and it's under 20 bucks. It's this. Just take a bit of a look at it there. It doesn't really look like anything special, although I have to say the handle is quite an odd shape. And it's from Vessel. And if you don't know Vessel, it's not some Amazon alphabet brand like the Torx Max 2000 or something. Vessel has been making screwdrivers since 1916. They're Japanese, and they were instrumental in the establishment of that JIS standard for screwdrivers, and they're also Japan's first mass producer of screwdrivers. So there's that. They've been doing it for a while. There's no excuse for them getting it wrong, in other words. And they've got this one so unbelievably, preposterously right. The handle is amazingly ergonomic. Like the big ball on the end gives you a lot of torque when you need it. These precise little dimples here, like on the Death Star in Star Wars, they're great for just precise fingertip control. It's nice and soft grip. It's just a really slick screwdriver. And the other thing is the bits, right? The bits just fit so impossibly slick. There's no play side to side. It's minimal. If you really feel for it, you can see, whatever, a few thousandths of play rotationally like this. There's no tilty sort of play. It's just the slickest insertion of the tip, so to speak, that I've ever experienced. You get three bits actually. You get a flat bit, like a 6mm flat bit, then you get a number 2 Phillips head, and that's the one I leave in there all the time, right? Because that's the one you're going to be using most often. And then you also get a number 1 and number 3 Phillips bit, and you get number 2 and number 3 posi drive. I'm not sure the posi drives are that useful automotively, but certainly the number 1 Phillips is a bit useful for unscrewing some electronic covers and things of that nature inside the cabin of a car, and also just fixing stuff that's got little tiny fiddly covers on it, like the battery compartments on various remote controls and things of that nature. So quite useful and versatile. And in Australia, this makes Americans' heads explode, right, when I say this, but it's kind of illegal just to carry a blade. Like on a multi-tool, you got whatever multi-tool. It's kind of illegal to carry that without what they call a reasonable excuse or whatever, you know, which is nebulously defined in the legislation, but you can't just carry a knife, is what I'm saying. And what I've noticed after having carried this, I don't reach for the knife that often, you know, because if I want to open a box, the flat tip on the screwdriver, straight through the cellophane tape and just, there's your box. It's open, kind of thing. And you can use it to scrape stuff, you know, if you've got to scrape corrosion off a battery terminal, or you've got to scrape gunk out of a thread, or whatever you've got to scrape, rust. This is a pretty good scraper, and it's also a better pry bar kind of improv pry bar than the expensive knife in your expensive Leatherman Surge or something, which you really don't want to snap off, but which you do use as a pry bar. And ask me how I know. So there's that. I find this incredibly useful, and it's less than 20 bucks. I'm not trying to retire on the Amazon commission revenue from this. This is just such a good tool, and I've been using it for several months now. I bought another 3 of these babies for use everywhere. I've got one in the other workshop. I've got one in my sort of EDC that sits in my bag that just goes everywhere. I've got one in the car kind of thing, and one in this workshop for a total of 4. They're just that good, and they are from a world-renowned screwdriver manufacturer. In fact, if you took the branding off it, whatever it's called, it's like nature is wonderful. You can't focus as you get older, but this is a Vessel 220W if you want to look it up, but I'll put a link in the description. If you took the branding off and someone handed it to you and they said, this is Zetcherman Vera whatever, or Wiha, you'd go, yeah, I'm feeling it, kind of thing. It's that good. It's better than plenty of the screwdriver grip type holders that I've used. This Hazit one is pretty good, I'd have to say, and of course Vera makes some excellent tools, but this baby is just minimalist and slick, and if you leave it in the field or it gets nicked, it's a $20 problem, not a $120 problem kind of thing. You know, so I'll put a link in the description for that. And then when we're talking about the operational envelope of these things, which is what your roadside repair kit has to do. It has to offer maximum capability, minimum footprint. How are we going to do that? What are we going to do about Torx fasteners? And what are we going to do if we need a hex key kind of thing? You know, if you need an Allen wrench and you don't have one, that's kind of a problem. And the best solution when you think about the footprint and the maximum capability is this thing from a German manufacturer. I've got a few of these as well. I carry one in the car and I carry one in my EDC, and I've got this one in the workshop here. It's from Wiha, and it's called a GoBox, right? So inside, without wanting to spill it all over the floor, and you've got these 30 bits, and you've got a really sexy little reversible 72 tooth ratchet. This thing is awesome. The final piece for your 32 pieces, the final piece is a bit holder, right? So this is all fairly standard stuff. Your bit holder goes in your ratchet. You select whichever one of the 30 bits you just want or need to get the job done. Quite versatile. I'm not sure this particular one is still available. Anyway, I'll link to a couple of options that you can get off the bat. These things are under 80 bucks, and they really do give you a big envelope of fastener compatibility, because you've got, in this one, you've got metric and imperial hexes, you've got Torx, you've got a square drive quarter adapter kind of thing, and a few other bits as well. So you've got a couple of flat blades to choose from, I note, and there might even be the odd square in here. Yeah, a couple of square drivers and 4 Phillips heads as well. So there's a fair bit of compatibility there. And the thing I really like about this, right, is that you've got your vessel. It's modular. So your vessel will take the bit holder, and then if you've got a pesky Torx fastener to get the cover off something out on the highway, then you just use it like that. And that is freaking brilliant. The Wiha system's pretty good for bit retention, because it's not gonna, like, you can't get the bit out like that. It's positively retained. You've got to pull down on the collet here, and then it pops up, and then you can extract it. And the footprint for this thing is just so minimal. And when you think about the ratchet on its own, it's just, you can probably hear that. That is a nice ratchet, you know. 72 teeth gives you lots of, whatever it is, 5 degrees or something of motion in between incremental bits. So if you're limited by angle and you're geometrically limited by where the tool can fit, then that is a pretty good option for many fasteners, you know. The final thing I'd suggest if you're thinking about capability envelopes and screwdrivers and things of that nature is that sometimes fasteners are really stuck. And in a recent video, which I will link up there somewhere, I talked about these babies. These are your Pliers wrenches. If you buy the Knipex one, this is from Fujiya, and I think you can get this baby for under 40 bucks as well. So if you got one of those fasteners that's just very reluctant to get undone because it's had 52 layers of paint on top of it, you can scrape it out with your flat blade, and then you can leave it in the wonderfully ergonomic handle and get a lot of axial load on it like that. And then you can set your Pliers wrenches to 6mm-ish and grab the hex on the outside there like that, and you can push and crank, and that gives you, in my view at least, the maximum chance of getting some bastard stuck fastener out there in the field undone, which is, after all, a principal challenge with many repairs. So this is a good set of overlapping overlapping functionality, as I see it anyway. There's a lot of capability in a very small footprint when you think about how the tools all integrate together. And this baby is also your second set of open-end wrenches. Like if you need a 17mm wrench here and you've got a through bolt and you need to grab the nut with the other wrench, it just adjusts up. You got the parallel jaws, they're smooth, doesn't mar. This is a really good solution for that. So it's got more jobs than just hanging onto the hex of this bit or pretending to be some multi-grips, which it's not, because it's far more advanced than that. It's got the whole parallel jaw, cam operated force multiplication thing going on. And then if you really want to build your screwdriver capability envelope for roadside repairs, let's say, you want to get a couple of screwdrivers. You want a Phillips number 2 and a flat-bladed screwdriver. They don't have to be huge, but they have to have this functionality, right? They have to have the bar of the screwdriver goes all the way through the handle to an anvil end that you can hammer on. Hopefully you can see through there. That clear acetate kind of handle shows you that the steel rod of the blade goes all the way through to the handle. And this means, obviously, that in addition to a screwdriver and a decent pry bar, now you've got a quote-unquote chisel that you can use. You can deliver impact to the fastener to get it loosened up if it's been clagged up by virtue of being in place for 20 years. And you can do the same thing with the Phillips head because the bar goes all the way through to the anvil. And that means 20 layers of paint down in the cross of the Phillips head. You can just persuade that, like Moses on that fateful day parting the frickin' sea. You can part the 20 layers of paint that have been applied over, I don't know, decades, and just get that out of the way, and then hopefully start undoing the fastener in the way that you can't with a tool such as this, because obviously it's not the sort of thing you hit on the end if you want it to survive. I guess if you're in the field and the chips are down, so to speak, you can just take the blade on its own, put it in the head of the fastener, give it a nudge that way, and that would probably work. And hey, the blades ultimately are disposable. If you want to get some new ones, they're only a few bucks. What I'm saying is that a toolkit that will really get you out of trouble and be super functional in the field is not going to break the bank, and it doesn't have to weigh you down tremendously either. Like 20 bucks for this baby is the deal of the century when you think about the underlying quality. And I also think that the GoBox for like less than 80 bucks here is excellent value. There's a Pliers wrench, the Fujiya version. This is 180 millimeters or 7 inches, I think. So these are about 40 bucks, a bit less than 40 bucks if memory serves. And by the time you've got those 3 things under control and just one screwdriver that you probably got lying around anyway with the tang that goes all the way through to an anvil, you're sorted from a screwdriver perspective, like you really are, and you haven't broken the friggin' bank. You haven't had to buy anything from Vera or anything like that, which does tend to be very nice, but also a bit exy, and you'd be a bit reluctant to leave it in the boot of your car, especially in some of the suburbs that I frequent from time to time. So there's that. Anyway, I'll put links in the description to all of that. They are going to be Amazon links. I will make a small commission if you happen to buy something like that. I'm not trying to retire on this. I'm trying to point you in the direction of decent tools that are cheap, that will get you out of trouble in the field, and everyone will look at you like, dude, how did you manage to do that with virtually nothing? Which is the whole game of roadside repair. It's also the whole game of having a go bag that you take into the field. Like, you don't want to have 10 Sherpas carrying your toolkit to Everest Base Camp. You just want a little bag that you can pick up and take somewhere that gives you this much capability to get the frickin' job done, and it takes up this much footprint. This is the challenge, right? I've been playing this game for, I don't know, 30 years now, and hopefully one day I'll get it right.